So, how do vaccines work? Well, first we'll have to look at how our immune system works. First, a pathogen, also known as an agent that causes a disease, like a virus or a bacteria, enters the body. These pathogens contain proteins on their surfaces that have different shapes. The body can identify that the foreign object entering is a pathogen as they have proteins with shapes that are not found anywhere else in the body. Once a cell has detected a pathogen, it releases a chemical called a histamine. This chemical attracts white blood cells, more specifically macrophages and neutrophils, which are types of phagocytes. The phagocytes are attracted to the histamine chemicals and is led towards the pathogen. The pathogen will then be engulfed and consumed by the phagocyte through the process of phagocytosis. From digesting the pathogen, the phagocyte will uncover an antigen which will be later required for protection against a specific pathogen. This antigen is displayed on the surface of the phagocyte. Another type of white blood cell is introduced now called lymphocytes. An interesting fact is that the human body can create antibodies for every single possible disease known to man, as well as ones we haven't discovered yet. This is why it takes a lot of time for the phagocyte with the antigen on its surface to find the right cell, called the helper T cell, to be activated. But once it's found, this helper T cell will release chemicals to start the differentiation of another type of lymphocyte called the helper B cell into plasma and memory cells. This may sound complicated, but to put it simply, there are a chain of reactions that ultimately makes a helper B cell turn into plasma cells and memory cells. A plasma cell can make antibodies which are specific to the pathogen, meaning that it is effective at killing that pathogen. While a memory cell will do something similar. It remembers the antibody that is required to fight off that specific pathogen, and it'll keep on producing a small amount of the antibodies for a certain amount of time, which is where the term immunity comes from, as once you're immune, there are antibodies present in your body to fight off the pathogen without getting sick or showing any symptoms. So that is how immunity works and how the immune response works, but why do we need to know that for vaccines? Well, it's because vaccines take this process of giving immunity and does it in a way where the body isn't actually harmed. There are many types of vaccines which will be discussed in a later video. However, all of them use some means of stimulating this immune process, which will ultimately lead to memory cells that are producing a steady number of antibodies against the pathogen. This prepares the body and gives immunity, as if the specific pathogen enters, the body will be ready to fight it off with ease using the present antibodies. An example of a vaccine would be the smallpox vaccine, which classifies as a live attenuated vaccine. This vaccine uses a weakened version of the virus and is administered in the arm. Since the virus is weakened, the pathogen can defend the body easily, without needing antibodies. This allows it to get the antigen for the virus, which eventually leads to the memory B cells producing antibodies against the virus in a few days for immunity.